host of the Rachel Maddow Show on MSNBC. Rachel, good morning to you.
Good morning. Nice for having me.
Nice to see you here. As Kelly just pointed out, a lot of anger on the Hill directed at the president, coming from his liberal base. They've labeled him a sellout on this tax issue. Did he betray the Democrats by siding with the Republicans on this?
I think had the president come out and said, actually, you know, I've been persuaded to the Republicans' way of looking at this, and I think this is the right way to go, I think that would be seen as a betrayal. In this case, the president said, listen, what I want is still the Democratic decision on this, the Democratic position on this. It's just not obtainable. And so this is a matter, not a disagreement about what's the right thing to aim at, but whether or not you can get there.
So why is the base so angry then?
The base is angry because they want a president who can win. They want a president, it sounds like process, it sounds like inside baseball stuff, but everybody likes a winner, and the base wants to feel like when the president wants to get something done, he can get something done. And they're angry actually at his weakness.
Well, he is angry with them as well. He's gone after what he calls the liberal purists. He referred to them as sanctimonious in that press conference on Tuesday. What risk does he run picking a fight with the very people he's going to need to cover his back in the future, essentially?
I think every politician in both parties sort of comes with a calculation about their base, about how much sand they can kick in the base's face and still count on them. And part of that is whether or not there's an alternative, whether or not liberals are going to go somewhere else besides supporting Barack Obama. If congressional Democrats actually divorce themselves from him and say, no, we're not supporting this, then I think the base will gravitate toward Pelosi and other Democratic leaders in Congress and away from him. But if there's no split in Congress, there's nowhere else to go, he probably holds on to the base as long as he wants to, although nobody likes to be insulted that way, the way he insulted the base.
Yeah, talk about insulting. The White House is now saying that if the base doesn't go along with this tax cut deal, we could be headed toward double-dip recession again. Do they see that as a threat?
It is definitely a threat. The question is whether or not the liberal base is the one to blame for whether or not people are going to go along with this. I mean, ultimately, nobody's ever overcredited liberals for their power in the Democratic Party. Right? The Democratic base is long suffering in terms of whether or not they feel responded to by the party itself. At this point, what happens moving forward, I think, is whether or not the Democrat can convince, the president can convince Democrats that he is not a president without a party, that he is a man who is capable of winning when he wants to win things, and that he not only has their best interests at heart, but he's the best guy to carry the ball whenever you need to score.
Meanwhile, there are people like Howard Feynman writes in the Huffington Post that Obama is in grave danger of becoming Carter, that there are those people who feel that he should face off in a primary in 2012. Is that something the White House should be worried about?
I think it's probably early for them to worry about that. I do think they are concerned about the effect of the alienation of the president's base. But frankly, there isn't somebody out there who's the obvious challenge candidate to him. So there's a lot of different ways in which I think the president and his own party, the differences between them can be measured and can be important way before you get to 2012.
Meanwhile, and maybe this will be the last question, maybe this is just smart politics on the president's behalf, because he's been losing the independents. They've gone away from him in the past 2 years, just starting to come back. Maybe this is his way of saying to them, you know, I'm not going to follow ideology necessarily. I'm going to do what's right for the country. Well,
he's still taking the same ideological positions, though. He's just not being as effective at achieving the policy aims that he says he wants. He hasn't changed his mind on his campaign promises. He hasn't changed his mind on any of the things that liberals like about him. It's just a question of whether or not he can get there. It's a matter of presidential effectiveness, about presidential power. And I think that is the thing that people are looking ahead saying, even if we're not so concerned about the details here, we don't think that this is a disaster. What we are worried about is that he can't win other things no matter what they are. Right now in the lame duck, he's got a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. If you can't win now, how are you going to win in January?
All right, Rachel Maddow, thank you so much.